Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Justin Jory on the line. He's founder and CEO over at Lightwave Dental. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Justin, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we are going to talk about big trends in dental practice management. But before we do that, I want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Lightwave Dental. Tell us a little bit more about your business, please.
Yeah, so we started in 2016, and basically what we do is we acquire the non-clinical assets of dental practices from kind of retirement age dentists, and then we provide practice management services such as marketing, HR, accounting, just to name a few. So that's the core of what we do.
So, I mean, I think it's an interesting niche that you work in, and you're solving an interesting problem. But I guess just based off of what you're doing, the obvious question is, I mean, why do dentists need help retiring?
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. For decades, dentistry was an industry of every dentist unto himself, right? Every dentist had his own office, had a couple of hygienists, a couple of dental assistants, but that's changing quickly. A big reason for that is, one, dentists were never trained to be small business owners and operators. And it's actually quite a challenging thing to do, to be, a chairside dentist or doctor, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, and that's your full-time job, chairside, on top of that, then manage a small business. And what's also happening is the younger dentists that are now graduating are much more heavily indebted. They have a lot more student debt than the prior generation. And they don't have the appetite to take on, if they have $500,000 in undergrad and dental school debt, they don't want to take out another $1 million loan to buy a practice from a doctor who's ready to retire. And that's created this huge void in the market that we're stepping in and solving that problem for both the retirement age dentist and for the younger dentist.
Let's go a little bit further into what that means and why dentists need help managing their practices, because I don't want to overlook that, especially for some of the younger dentists that are thinking about going that route. And I can think about it. It seems like it translates to any business, but because they're chairside and they're physically working in their business, it's not like you can hire other people, obviously, but when you're just starting, the point is you're building your practice. So it's not like other businesses where you're like, okay, I can skill up and I can do this and then I can focus more on the management side of things. Like, no, they still have to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, dentists go to dental school to do dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
They go to dental school to run a business. And so, that's the interesting phenomenon. And the analogy that I can use to really help people understand this is the analogy of a race car driver. So, for decades in dentistry, dentists have been like a NASCAR driver with no pit crew. They drive around the track. They do, they drive around the track Monday through Friday, seeing patients who are running themselves ragged. And then when they come into the pit stop, right, there's nobody there. And they have to unbuckle, take their helmet off. They got to fix each tire. They got to fill the gas tank, knock the fender out, reharness, get back in the car. And then next thing you know, Monday morning, you're back on the track racing around again Monday through Friday. And it's been pretty tough. A lot of dentists talk about how stressful it is, the debt burden, the management burden, the isolation, because your peers are your competitors. in their industry. So I can't share what I'm doing with the dentist across the street. He's my competitor. And so they feel very alone. And so when we come in, it's like, oh, I now have a pit crew. When I come into that pit stop, I've got 4 or 5 people running around the car, changing tires in half a second and filling the gas tank and knocking out the fender. And I can just sit in my driver's seat and hydrate. And then I'm back on the track Monday, and wow, there's just a lot less stress.
And one thing about your model is, I mean, you guys are growing fast. So, I mean, you started with 8 locations in 2016, and now how many locations are you managing now? I mean, so you grew very fast. So to me, like when somebody says, proposes a problem like you just mentioned, and then, you know, they aim to solve it, you can see it by the need and what the market's saying. And you guys are moving. How many locations are you managing now?
Yeah, so we've grown up to 42 locations. And what's deceiving about that is that the average dental practice might do $800,000 a year in revenue. Our average practice does almost $3 million a year in revenue. So we have partnered with higher quality, larger locations. So it's actually a pretty big business, bigger than it looks compared to the average dental office. But yeah, 8 locations to 42. We're all focused in Virginia and North Carolina. So it's been a very fast growth path. And yeah, the biggest constraint is not growth opportunities. Our biggest constraint is the team to support it.
Wow.
So the demand is there. It's just our ability to capitalize on it and support it is really the tough part.
Wow. And obviously with the level of quality and the types of practices you're working with, I mean, the amount of time to get them onboarded and to get them in your system, I mean, I get it. And it's so you have it's not a bad thing, but for like some people are listening right now, that's like, oh, that's great, they're growing fast. Like, how's that? But also to be able to grow like methodically and to do it well thought out, it's a good thing. I mean, I'm excited about what you're doing and how things are going. I want to go a little bit further into the young dentist side of things and kind of what their path looks like, because I know there's going to be some younger dentists or people graduating dental school and whatnot that are listening to this also. Let's go a little bit further into what their path looks like in working with Lightwave Dental or partnership opportunities, like just how that stuff works.
Yeah. So, you know, this movement towards group dentistry, it's a trend. You know, the dental industry is only growing at 3% a year, and yet dental groups are growing at 25 to 30% a year. So the young dentists, they feel like they're getting left behind because every dentist graduates dental school with the aspiration of becoming an owner and a partner of their practice, right? It's just like a lawyer who wants to become partner at a law firm, right? They have the exact same aspiration. And with this new group model, or what some people call corporate dentistry, which we don't associate ourselves with that, we think we have a different place in the market. They think I'm never going to be able to realize that dream of becoming a partner and an owner in this future landscape of dentistry. And we've actually created a legitimate career path and partnership and ownership path for young dentists. The other thing that they really, really want is mentorship. You know, just like medicine, right? Just because somebody graduates medical school, you wouldn't have them do your open heart surgery the next day, right? You would not have confidence in that. Same thing with dentistry. Just because someone graduates from dental school does not mean they're really ready to do everything. They have a lot to learn after they graduate from dental school. And so mentorship and coaching and training is a huge concern for young dentists. And so we really solve all those problems. We have really experienced, great older dentists that mentor them when they come to join one of our practices. We also give them $12,000 a year for them to use on training, additional training outside of dental school. And then if they start meeting certain criteria, they can buy into the group and get ownership at the practice level and in the overall group. It's very exciting. Last year we had 11 young dentists that all bought in as partners and invested collectively $250,000 into ownership in the organization. So very exciting program for young dentists. A lot of people are like, what? I didn't even know that was a thing. So Yeah.
Wow, that's big time. And now even younger in their practice, like they could see something. There's a defined career path and there's a defined ownership path. So now they're not, man, that's got to be great. Like they have an option as a point. Like it's not going to be like, oh, we have to put in these 20 years. We have to do this. We have to do that. Maybe they'll sell me the practice. Maybe they won't. Now it's not like they're not gambling, so to speak, with their future there.
Well, and the nice thing too is that traditionally the option was either I'm an associate dentist, which means I'm just an employee, or I have to take out a 6-figure or 7-figure loan to buy in as a 50% partner or buy the practice entirely. And that was it. It was either one or the other. It was very binary. But now we've presented this great middle option where our qualifying, high-producing young dentists, they can write a check for $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 a year. They don't have to take a loan, right, and increase their financial risk. And they can buy an ownership piece every year that they're a part of the organization and meeting those criteria. So it's a much more affordable option with a lot less stress, financial stress and pressure, but also gives them that financial upside and, stake in the organization, which they want.
Man, that's big time. So Justin, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information on Lightwave Dental or to connect with you and your team, what's the best way for them to reach out and do that?
Yeah, our website is lightwavedental.com. That's where you can learn more. And then if you go to the contact page, you can email us at info@lightwavedental.com. So that's probably the best route to go. Just email info@lightwavedental.com, and you've got a team that responds to those messages. And yeah, we can schedule a phone call to talk through options, whether you're a retiring doctor or a younger doctor who's trying to find a place where they can establish a career.
Fantastic. Well, Justin, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background, all the great work that you're doing over at Lightwave Dental. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to hear what kind of projects and businesses that you're working on. And Justin, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Adam.